I want to take a look at the bearings in the steering box because it does feel fairly loose in there. And I'm just looking at that steering arm. You have to turn the steering wheel a good bit before it actually turns that arm. So there's a lot of in and out movement. So the first thing I notice is this isn't the right washer. The washer should be one of them, so I have a new one there. Out of my own parts, I also have a new bolt nut. We don't need that. I don't know if we'll need this. This is a kind of keeps the dirt out of it, and a new collar. These are from, again, my own parts, so they just happen to be in the drawer. So if we need them, we'll fit them. First thing to do is to cover up the clocks here with a rag or two, because you don't want anything hitting them and breaking them. Now the nut shouldn't be that tight because this is on a Woodruff key and it's the steering wheel itself is slotted, so you know there's no need to be over tightening them. This washer is very important because it stops water and rust and everything and dirt going down in there and seizing the steering wheel on. So yeah, this just seems to be a normal washer, so I'm going to fit the proper one. But taking these steering wheels off can be a little bit challenging. I had to make a pullers for my own one on my own 35, so we'll see how this one comes off. Tripod up on the tool trolley again. So strangely enough, this actually seems, the best fit for this seems to be a 24mm metric. So I had a quick go at it there, and it doesn't want to go with just my hand on the steering wheel, so I need a bit of leverage. Yeah, it's going there. It's way too tight. There's no need for it to be so tight. You over tighten these, they can be hard. It can be hard to get the steering wheel off, and it can't really go anywhere like. Now, should be ready for the ratchet. So the steering wheel seems loose so far, which is very, very good sign, because I can tell you one thing, they can be a pig to get off. And because they're plastic, you can't really hit them very hard. So, wow, and there's your Woodruff key. That is the easiest one now I've ever taken off. Amazing. Someone actually greased it up, oiled it up, so fair play to them. Brilliant. So we are well on the way now to getting into where we need to be. So this is super loose. So what you have here is you have a lock nut, you have a tab washer. I'll take you down closer so you can have a look, because when I adjusted this on my own Gold Belly 35, it made night and day difference to the free play. So there's bearing in there, and the bearing on top is a kind of a cone taper shape, and when you adjust this down, it pushes that bearing down in there, and at the same time it pulls the bearing up, and that's also on a cone. So I'm going to get an old bearing and show you what's going on in there. These are the bearings I took out of a steering column. So this is your steering column there going down into your steering box. These run a Ferguson 20, so there's something similar here. So what's happening down in under that there is you have an outer race, and it's this kind of a shape, and these are pushing down basically on this shape. So the inner race of your roller taper bearing, it's called a roller taper bearing. Well, actually we'll keep that in there just in case they fall out, but it's called a roller taper bearing because this is a taper. So the more that you tighten that down, the more it's pushing the top bearing down into the outer race, and at the same time it's pulling the bottom one's upside down, it's this way, it's going to pull that into this, and this outer race is on the bottom of the steering column. So it actually, the adjustment up here will adjust both bearings. Now, very, very loose grip on that. Like, I mean, it's really loose, like, so we're going to be able to take, if I'm not mistaken, if you look closely there, that nut is actually turning on the steering column, which is amazing. It's so loose. So we need to bend back these tabs. There should be one each side. I'm trying to work out whether this was ever done before. It feels like it was, yeah. Bend them back straight. Remove the top nut, remove the locking tab, and there should be another nut the same size underneath that. And we take him out, we can give everything a clean up in there. Should be able to see the bearing. So this is something that's overlooked, to be honest with you, and it's, once you get your steering wheel off, it's child's play. And whoever was in here before, fair play to them, they have kept things greased up. There's usually a grease nipple on these. Maybe there isn't on this one, I'll have a better look. Or if they, at least anyway, it looks like they have greased everything up, and that's after saving us an awful lot of hassle. So I'm going to get a bit of a chisel and tap that flat on the other side. Remove this top nut, and this definitely needs to be done. Like, as I said, look at this, loose as hell. And I'm kind of wondering as well, yeah, there was nothing stopping that continuing to get loose probably. So let's get that out so and get everything cleaned up. Now I have the tripod on the seat of the tractor, so it's, you're on the best seat in the house, as the man says. Now it's a bit awkward because the nut is moving. Normally these are tight. That's okay. I have it there. It's coming straightening out nicely. What the dirt. That's that side. Lovely. That's straightening out lovely. I've never been able to unscrew one of these by hand before. I don't know what they're mentioned in the workshop manual or service manual for these, about this part, like that you have to get in there and have a look around or give it a clean out or a grease up. I don't remember anything being mentioned about it. I think there's normally a grease nipple on the side of them there, and that usually sorted them, because once they were full of grease, stopped the water going in anyway. But actually the most important part of this, to be honest, is that washer that goes over there, because it kind of seals everything. This is your tab washer, and this is the nut end that does all the adjusting. So we'll give him a clean up in the parts washer. We'll give Paws a quick rub. Right, and this one hand tie as well. My God, amazing. At least it's greased up, that's all I can say. So you have to be very careful now when you're loosening this off. There's ball bearings in there. If you pull that steering column up, I think they can go walkies, and I wouldn't like to be trying to fish around for them. So I keep a bit of pressure down on the steering column. We'll know more when we get a look in here. But I think these are different than the Ferguson 20. They're different than them bearings there that I showed you. A little bit different. I think they're ball bearings. So slowly just take him off. Okay, yeah, there is just ball bearings in there, so I've got to be very careful here not to disturb anything. So I'm going to go and just clean the hands a bit so I can get a look in there with a torch. Yeah, so I'm going to be very careful. I don't think they can fall down. I don't think, maybe they could if I lifted that steering column out or upwards. Probably could. Threads are in great nick anyway. This will definitely benefit from it clean. Nice and easy off with it. Okay, yeah, we've ball bearings in there. So I'm just going to, they're lovely and greased, but I'm just going to put fresh grease in. I'm not going to touch them. Again, I'm going to give the hands a clean, and I'll bring the camera down closer so you can have a look and see what's happening in there. So we'll get a look down in here and see what's going on. So you can just see the ball bearings there the whole way around. So as I was saying, the best thing to do now is just get a bit of grease maybe and just fit it on the outer race there. It's probably the safest, because if you disturb them, they could go walkie-walkies. So I'm going to give them a clean, give him a wipe, give him a clean, and don't lose the Woodruff key. This is a magnetic tray and it's brilliant for keeping all that kind of stuff. Okay, bath time for these boys, because the grease is actually really sticky. So I'll give them a little dart. I'll bring over the camera. Now I'm going to have to get myself a set of them pink rubber gloves to use for washing up, because this stuff isn't the nicest smelling, diesel and kerosene. That's actually for the wheel bearing. Now, let's see what we're working with now. Okay. So there's a bit of scraping needed here. I wasn't sure what this was, but it seems to be some kind of old grease and stuff. That's how sticky it is. So we'll clean all that out so we can see what we're working with. Crazy how hard grease can get, but the reason why this has gone hard is, well, it's after mixing with muck and stuff, so it's very important to have the right washer underneath the nut, because otherwise you get a lot of stuff going down. Now this is obviously a lovely new steering wheel, but that said, stuff can still go down behind it. Now, so these are great wipes. They're kind of a grit on them, like, and they're anti-grease. They're mighty. Yeah, nearly there. Sure, look, most of the work doing up these old tractors is cleaning anyway, when you think of it, because they had the material in them, so you usually just clean up what you have. So okay, so that's how it works. It's a double tab washer. Bends upwards and it bends downwards. So that's okay. That's that done. Next thing is the lock nut. All of the threads are good. Happy with that. And then there's this lad here, so it has a bit of a rubber O-ring on it there, and that's obviously to stop the crap going down into it. So if it's easy to take it off, I might just try and take it out and give a cleaning around it so that it continues to do its job. It's turning there anyway, you can see it turning, so it's not stuck. So just make my mind up whether I'm going to take it out or just give it a good clean, because to be honest with you, it feels like it's on fairly tight, and I know when I put my hooked pick in behind there now, it'll most likely damage it. So I'd say it's probably good enough giving it a clean off. Starting to clean up lovely there. Yeah, I'd say we're nearly good. What I'll do is I'll get a plastic kind of a brush. Something like this is plastic bristles, and it'll just pick out any of the, there's bits of dirt in it there. Then we can give it another quick run in the parts washer. That's how we'll salvage this part. So you can see where the ball bearings are rubbing on it there, the whole way around. So I just want to make sure there's no crazy pitting on that. There's a bit pitting there, alright. That'll just make the steering just a little bit rumbly, so there's a bit of pitting just around some of it. So not a whole lot I can do with that. I was thinking there just off the cuff to give it a rub of sandpaper. If I do that and I take much off it at all, you're going to end up with this being low and this being high, and you'll have a loose and a tight patch in your steering. So it's just going to go by feel here. Yeah, it's definitely pitted around a bit of the way, so I might just get a bit of fine sandpaper and just see if I can improve that a bit. I just want to smoothen it. I don't want to go taking anything off it as such. Just smoothen it. Already that's after doing a lovely job on it, strange enough. This is just a medium grade sandpaper, but it's been used a bit, so it's not going to be leaving scratches right now, especially in metal of this quality. Just going to take any of the high bits of that pitting out of it maybe, and smoothen them a little. Yeah, it feels a lot better. And if I adjust this steering box right, half the reason why that has pit is because the nuts were too loose, and water and rust was getting down into it and muck, and that's why that's pitted. Now, that's perfect for what we want it to do. So when I have this sorted, I'm obviously going to have it nicely tightened up, and I'm going to have a sealing washer over the steering wheel, and it's not going to be doing that anymore. It's not going to be letting stuff in, and I'm going to have loads of grease in it, fresh new grease. So yeah, that's going to be perfectly functional as is. So I'll go now and get some new grease, and we'll get this steering box greased up. I'll have you back on the seat of the tractor. I'm going to clean up this place here first. These wipes really do make short work of it. So again, keep a bit of pressure on the top of that steering column, just in case. You definitely probably could lift it up a bit. I don't want to take a chance I know this is a little bit different than the Ferguson 20 setup, so I'm not going to err on the side of caution, as they say. So that's cleaned up. We can have a look down in there now. Yeah, we can see all this, the ball bearings are in the right place, so I can start getting fresh grease into that. Now, what's the best way of doing this, I suppose? Because the inner race of that bearing there, the nut head on it, is going to push it all down. Anywhere at all really will do for the grease, as long as it's pushed down in there. I don't want to go getting too personal with them ball bearings now, for fear they'll roll around the place, and they'll have a whole lot of space in there for chasing them if they go downwards. They probably won't. I'm probably just being over cautious, but now the more grease you put on this, the better, because to be honest with you, it'll stop water going down into it. I'll have it fairly well sealed up anyway, but I'm still going to put plenty on it. So now this is our inner race. A bit of grease around the O-ring. Make sure it's sealing. No, we're not missing out. No. There's a lot of threads on this. It's fine threads, so you just take your time. Now I'm going to disconnect the steering rod from this side. I have this one disconnected because I want to adjust. Oh, am I better off? I'm trying to think what I'm better off doing for adjusting the steering box. I'll come up with something. I just want to feel the drag in the steering box alone. I don't want the drag from the wheel being added into the equation, because I want to work on getting the free play out of the steering box, and I'm fairly sure I can get it back to standard. Basically, no free play. So I'll continue tightening that up, and I'll come back when it's done and I get the spanner on that nut.